Uh, good. Happy
Good
after
after evening noon. Welcome to the Ham Radio Kids Table. We're going to rent you the seat, but you'll only need the edge.
morning, after evening, noon.
Good after evening noon.
I don't think
There,
so.
so there's a video out now
Yeah.
that explains good after evening noon.
Did did they
I'll
make
paste
it
it
just
in
for
just
me?
they made it for a lot of people actually.
Okay.
So it came
Did,
out of some conversation at Ham Radio Workbench and at Hamvention this year actually. So I'll find that and pop it into the chat.
it's the whole origin story of
It is.
it's the whole origin story of good after evening noon there.
It
So
it is,
yeah,
and it's not my expression. That's my friend's expression, and it's my way of saying hello to my friend Simon.
which
For those of you who knew Carol Burnett, Carol would always tug on her
yeah,
ear, and that
yeah,
was her way of saying, "Hey, Auntie, the payment's in the mail. Don't worry, I'm thinking of you."
yeah.
Right. So I'm not sending any radios to Simon. I'm just shooting him a hello.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Well, good after evening, noon, everybody, and welcome to the Ham Radio Kids Table. And as Vince said, you can just sit on the edge of the seat or on the bed or wherever. But we are here tonight and going along with our ongoing series of the Summer Antenna Challenge. We reached out to Ben from VF Comms, the ham radio rookie, who is also pretty well known in the community of designing his own antennas and getting them out there. So we thought we'd have Ben stop by the kids table tonight and talk to us about it, talk about some of the stuff that he's got going on, and maybe give some ideas and some encouragement to people on how they can build and design their own antennas and how easy it is nowadays with
Totally.
the materials that you can get, 3D printers, things like that. So,
Absolutely.
so welcome to the kids table, Ben.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm one of the cool kids now.
You are.
Always were.
Unlike those other 8 o'clock AM radio shows, we don't make our guests wait for like half an hour, 45 minutes before we get them right in there. But and actually tonight, unfortunately, is going to be a short night for us tonight since Ham Nation will be streaming at 9 o'clock. So we're going to get right into it. Ben,
Okay.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
So yeah, I was like basically a freelance engineer for many years. Ended up getting into special effects in the movie industry, and had a little medical incident where it made it difficult for me to do some work. So I figured I'd just get my ham license because I always dreamed of doing that since I was a kid, and studied up, got my license, and then started making some stuff. And then I stumbled upon a few ways of making things because I do special effects and design. I've been designing things since I was a kid. It just I look at materials and things differently than most people, and found a really unique antenna made out of fabric. And I figured maybe it would do okay, make some coffee money, and then turned out to be my full time business a year later. So yeah, here I am.
It's interesting how little incidents, little things happen in our lives where you think today it was a setback, right?
Yep.
And it shifted your world, but then that turned itself and you found a new path forward. So that's interesting. So so you haven't been a ham very long,
No,
a
it's only been like a couple of years. I
couple
think I'm
years.
just shy of 2 years now. Yeah.
So is it safe to assume that in a hobby of 1,000 hobbies, antenna building is in design is one of your favorites, or do you have another one that you enjoy as
Within
much
ham
about?
radio.
Oh yeah, within ham radio, or and this is the interesting thing about ham radio because there's so much you can do. It's all the building, it's the designing. I noticed on Clubhouse last night, Muggs, I think it was his name,
Ah, yeah. Okay.
was a
Muggs
model
Ferguson.
builder.
I've got a story about Muggs, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So he was a model builder, and he was retired, and was I think probably needing something to do, and
Mhm.
started. He found a thing that has kept him interested and
Yeah.
continuing moving forward. Right.
So I met Muggs in the early 2000s. I was talking like I got to be really good at three-dimensional computer-aided design. And so much so that, like, say, SolidWorks and Pro Engineer and CATIA and Autodesk had hired me to help them all out in different certain things. I could go on that, but I ended up speaking at SolidWorks conference, and SolidWorks was kind of where I was really good, and I started a blog on that. And Muggs had, so John Ferguson had done that as well, and there was a bunch of us got known as the Blog Squad. So I knew Muggs long time ago, and Muggs is fairly new to ham radio as well. So
Mhm.
he's been, we haven't talked to each other for like, God, it was like 15 years, and out of the blue, he's like, "Hey, it's Muggs, and I'm designing some things for radios." I'm like, "Oh, you're a ham op?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just got into it because I needed a hobby." And so it's kind of neat how you have those intersecting your different lives intersect at different times along the way of your timeline. It's pretty neat.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just I love the guy. He's awesome. Yeah.
Well, good deal. So, so obviously the big antenna, the Fairjay
Yep.
is probably the one you're known most for. But if I seem to remember, you might have had a head mounted antenna that you worked on there for a while.
Do I don't even I think that one might have been destroyed, but yeah, I took a 3D print of my head and I made a tinfoil hat, which was the ground plane, and just had a whip coming out the top, and it worked. It
I
worked
forgot about that.
spectacularly, and I was tongue in cheek saying that it's big aluminum's trying to get into your head and they're just retransmitting, man, the tinfoil's against you.
So
But
how did it work?
it worked,
How was the performance?
it worked like any decent ground plane. I honestly didn't at the time have any good comparisons, but I figured that if you took a ground plane where you have like a half-meter whip and then just radials coming out the base just to be the second half of the antenna, it would work just as good. I really struggle to think it would have been any different than any ground plane. It was just the look of it was quite different. I also took a ham can, so a tin of ham, and turned that into a 70 centimeter antenna using a slot concept, and that one worked. I still have it over here. It works exceptionally well, like scary well for what it is.
Can you grab that? That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So I think Ben has been doing Willet antenna much longer than many people.
There we go. So you got maple leaf ham. And so this is one of those ones that have the key that you would split along the outside edge.
Okay.
Just 3D printed some spacers. And then we have just some copper foil tape that bridges one section. So I use the Dremel just to rough up the edge so we make good contact. Then we have the contact for just a BNC with a couple of wires. And what blew me away about this one is that I've got copper tape that is like I think this is 3/4 inch wide copper tape. I just guessed, threw that on there, and it was like when I hooked it up to the VNA, it was like perfect. And I'm just like, no way, no way.
Tim, highlight Ben.
Oh yeah, I am so sorry, Ben. There we go. Get you up there.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got duct tape on here just holding everything, but they've got the foil tape there and here, and then just little 3D printed spacers. But you could just use a chunk of wood or something like that. And see, we got cooked ham, and everybody's been asking me, and I need to do a follow up. Is one thing I want to do, and I got to figure out what the legal limit is that I can put out on 70 centimeters, or maybe go out into the middle of the wilderness and see if I can jam 500 watts through this and with ham in it, and see how toasty it can get to prove what it will do to your brain.
So I know I remember Josh did a video where he taped hot dogs on a vertical element on a ham stick, and then ran I think about 500 watts through it, and it really didn't do much.
Okay, well then I have to do 1,000 watts.
There you go.
Well, yeah, Josh did that I think on 6 meters, or on at 10 meters. I think it wasn't at VHF, so the different frequencies will the different wavelengths will penetrate soft material like ham and brains differently.
But you also got to keep in mind that FM and AM will cook things really, really well. So if he was broadcasting AM, he would have had a better chance. At 500 watts, I'd almost guarantee it would cook.
So what he's saying is just give AM a chance, right, Tim?
That's what I'm hearing.
All we are saying.
Yeah,
Just
that's
give
it.
spam a chance.
But that all
Spam,
being said,
spam,
I realized
spam.
because I'm a
Spam.
rookie, but single sideband is AM, is it not?
It is.
So
it is half of it.
suppressed. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
suppressed
so-
carrier, and then
Yeah.
at that point you're just pushing out pure modulation into the ether that's
Right.
offset by your carrier frequency. So when the receiver picks it up, it needs that oscillator to capture that, and then it strips out the modulation again and runs that through.
Yeah. So I guess if you're doing single sideband, maybe I'm tongue in cheek that I don't know if full AM or half AM would work. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was a question. Okay, so we got the ham. What was the question again? ADHD brain.
Oh, it's all good. Well, actually, I'm kind of curious. So the elements there, the top and the bottom, they're linked together. They're just spaced.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It's a slot. So I've been experimenting. So the way slot antennas work, and I don't think you'd necessarily have to zoom in, but basically so you've got this strip. This is a 2-meter antenna. I'm going to back up so you can see the whole length, but this is like 39 inches from end to end, right? And the way a slot antenna works is it's literally a continuous loop, and then it's fed on the back, but it's just fed through these 2 pins. And even though the elements are horizontal, it's vertically polarized because of the way this is like a current antenna versus a voltage antenna.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's the way that the ham can is basically working is it's a slot antenna. And I just love the concept of them because you can compact them down to like nothing. Now they're not, if you take that long strip and you have it flat the way I do, it will have a certain amount of forward and back gain, and then basically 2 lobes, and then it's flat along its edges. But as soon as you turn it into a loop, it's got about the equivalent gain of a quarter wave. So you're not getting any gain. You're just getting, an antenna that is suddenly hideable or small for like HOA situations.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, real quick. Vince was putting in the chat there. It sounds like you're on your webcam mic and not the DJI mic. When you backed away, yeah, your audio dropped.
Well, look at that. Is that any better?
Yes.
Looky there.
There we go.
This is why we have.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah. This is why we have Vince here. He keeps us all technically straight.
No, that's he's been doing that since like day one. Before I had my license, Vince was like already an Elmer to me. So
now you guys don't live too far from each other, is that correct?
no, we're about an hour drive from each other. So yeah,
that's not too bad.
Hour drive on a bad day. Yeah.
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 So like
Ben's in
right?
Ben's in the same city where the candy store is, so we frequently meet up there.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So so Vince is your candy store crack dealer, or
one of them. Unfortunately, they got many there. So if Vince is not there, there's somebody. But like, it's not like you actually need a salesman when I walk into that store. They just they see me come in and dollar signs. They're like, yes.
You're like less of a salesman and more of a just get. I need the product and take my money kind of thing. Yeah,
there's a lot of confused looks though, because I'll come in and say I need a feed point and some dangling hoo-has, and they're like, well, what are you building? And it's like, I don't really know. I'm just gonna jam this stuff together. It's gonna be an antenna. Just look at my YouTube channel tomorrow.
Well, there you go. So you walk in, you get some dangling hoo-has, and it sounds like you're talking about a peeler bar, but some dangling hoo-has and some feed points or whatever. How do you how do you come up with these ideas? I guess is something that if somebody was just sitting around and they were inclined to start, yeah, man, in Connecticut just says hold my credit card.
Yeah.
If they were, like looking around and they were wanting to start experimenting and doing these things, what's kind of a process that could help them get started?
Well, okay, so one thing you can do is just go on YouTube and look up build your own antenna, right? And say whichever frequency you want. And there's going to be 8 million resources out there for that. If you're a video person, if you're a book person, go into, a lot of people don't know this, but if you go to the Internet Archive, there's a library that you can basically check out pretty much any book you want that's in digital format. And you're going to find some of the old time radio antenna books. All of them are there available, and you can download them, look at them, see what other people are building, and buy books. Like I'm the insatiable reader kind of thing. My wife laughs at me, but like I literally have books like this sitting on my bedside table, just light reads that are a couple thousand pages, and go through them and look at stuff, and decide what you want. So what drove me to build my antenna is I live in like this little crappy valley area where like no RF seems to come in or out. So out of wanting to use my HT when I first got it was, well, this antenna is just not going to work in this area. It works everywhere else, but what can I do? So what I ended up doing I started looking in books and going, what antennas can I do? And like a J-pole is almost always going to be coming up. And there's a few things that I saw that were happening is that, and everybody gets locked into this, but somebody will say, well, just build a J-pole. You just need to get some feed line. Well, now you're looking at which feed line. Do I get the 300 ohm or the 400 ohm? But where do I buy the feed line? Can I buy just a 5-meter section of it instead of a roll of 50 meters? And suddenly you end up building all these sort of reasons why you shouldn't build something. Even going and getting some copper tubing and soldering it together can be a pain in the butt. And what I ended up doing is I stumbled upon the copper foil tape. This was through a W6MBC. So names are bad for
John
me today.
Portune.
John Portune, right? And he's kind of like the slot antenna guy, but he also he loves working with foil tapes. And if you're not working with a ton of power, 100 watts or less, tape is plenty strong enough to handle all this. So I started playing with foil tape, and I taped on a copper foil tape J-pole onto some duct tape. So I made the duct tape antenna, and that was kind of out of a bet as well from a friend. And jokingly, I just hung it up on my house to see how well it would work, and it worked like a hot damn. Like it was like, holy cow, suddenly I can get to all the repeaters in my area. Problem with that is that and I'm kind of going down a little bit of a path, but there will be an ending to the story. So problem with copper foil tape and stuff is if you roll it up and unroll it all the time, which I was kind of doing, it can work hard and break, and then it just doesn't work. So I was watching some other channels, and they were talking about magic carpets, which was Faraday cloth. And I thought, well, wait a minute. If Faraday cloth is conductive, I wonder if it can, I know it's supposed to block RF, but I wonder if it can transmit RF. So I got some of the Faraday fabric, sewed it onto a cloth, and that worked. And then suddenly I could roll this up into a small, neat little package, hang it onto the side of my house, or throw it up into a tree. And they work like just any other J-pole out there. So that's what I'm coming down to, though, is that if you want to build stuff, is first thing that's going to happen to everybody is you're going to find these books saying, well, you got to go out and buy a bunch of copper fittings, and you got to solder everything together. So you got to get a torch, and you need a shop. And no, you don't. What you can do is literally go onto Amazon, look up Faraday tape, buy some 10 millimeter wide Faraday tape, and go to your front window and start taping an antenna design on there, and use magnets or even some of the Faraday tape onto some wire, tape on a feed point, and see how it resonates. The one thing I really love about this, though, is that, let's say you got to trim down your Faraday antenna, or your Faraday antenna, your J-pole. and you over trim it, and suddenly you've gone past the frequency you want. The lovely thing about a lot of these tapes is that the stickum, or the sticky stuff, is also conductive. You can literally just tape on some extra length. Now, try to do that with a wire. You can't. Once you've cut it, you've cut it, right? So, you know, part of the reason, you know, I know that my foundational sort of thing is to know the math, and I love complex equations and stuff, but I'm sort of like a structural aeronautical engineer, not an electrical engineer. So I don't know any of these maths, and they confuse me. So the way I go about it is I look at the design, get roughly in about the area I need to, and just start trimming it. And you can trim down any shape really quickly and find out if it works or not without so much hassle. You're not cutting pipes, you're not cutting wires, you're not overcutting, you're just taping, and it's so much fun. Yeah. Anyways, there you go. Long answer. I apologize.
No. That's very insightful, because I think sometimes people, you know, they'll come across an idea if it was just if they had just done it this way, right?
Yeah.
And they'll say that, but I think sometimes, you know, the thought of taking it to that next step sometimes, I think, frightens people. And but like you said right there, if you mess up and you over trim your tape, it's easy enough to just stick another piece right on. And yes, if it's wire, you can solder another end on. Now, copper pipe, a little bit different story, but in general, you know, it is, I think, achievable to just take that next step and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like if you look at John Portion's book on slot antennas, he's using copper pipe, he's using like old satellite dishes, he's using sheet metal. A lot of people don't have access to those tools. I literally cardboard and some tape, and I've created a neat little feed point thing. You can buy these on my website. They're just the little feed point alone, and you can attach it, you can screw it onto things, but like it's literally cardboard and tape. And this is a functional 2-meter antenna. It's just a concept I have where I was thinking for HOA, people want something. This has got like, I need to space it out a little more and get a little more bandwidth out of it. But the advantage of something like this is that basically it's like it's a pizza box. Ugh. I first can't pull it apart. But
so what I'm hearing is
mail it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you can recycle all those Amazon boxes that you get to the house.
Oh yeah.
And you can just leave them on your front porch, and there's your antenna, and the HOA is none the wiser. I like it.
And also look at your environment and things around you. The one thing I've got, I'm going to be building, I'm going to be making a slot antenna, but it's going to be from, you know, the pop-out laundry bags with you have to twist it just like you would a bandsaw blade, and it just kind of folds into a nice little circle. Yeah. Well, if you go to the Dollarama, you can get these little laundry hampers that have that metal ring on them, and they're about the right size for a 2-meter antenna. So you can go to a dollar store and find a kid's laundry basket and be able to make an antenna. You know, you got to look at what are you looking at in your environment. You know, don't go and strip the wire out of your wall to make an antenna, but there's probably like some railings in. Oh, good grief! Suddenly I have this great thought: is that you take the railings on your porch. You have the 2 metal railings on my outside porch. If I bridge them, there's a slot. If I put a feed point in there, I probably have a horizontally polarized 2-meter antenna, and it would just take me a few minutes, right?
So if you had vertical slats on your aluminum fence rail, you could do that. Make slot
absolutely.
Antennas.
Well, and I talk about hanging my Faraday out on my back on the back of my house. What I've done since is I've literally just taken the taped on the J-pole onto the side of my house. I've riveted on one of those feed points. You can't see it. It just looks like a little piece of junk on my on the side of my housing. My house has like vinyl siding, so it kind of allowed me to do that. And then I just stuffed in the coaxial cable in underneath into my ham shack, and there you go. It's a permanent fixture. Nobody would ever see. Even the wife doesn't know this. I'm waiting.
There you go.
I'm waiting for her to go, oh my God, you just drilled holes into the new siding. I haven't heard that in months yet. So, you know, pray for me.
In months yet. In months yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Some great comments coming up in the chat here. When a porch pirate tries to steal your antenna box, go full legal limit. I like that. The
And make
Amazon.
sure it's AM so he cooks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make sure it's AM.
Yep.
The Amazon box of today replaces the Quaker oatmeal tube of my grandfather's crystal set.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
There you go. So
And then,
yeah, sorry
like,
about
in
that,
the
guys.
80s and 90s, people were using Pringles cans as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
those are, I don't know what's inside. There's some kind of a metallic,
Yeah.
silvery
Yeah.
inner lining.
Yeah.
They would make key antennas. They'd use them for they were great for
War driving.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, for directional Wi-Fi. So when you put the antenna on the house like that, does it stay omnidirectional, or do you lose some of the backside because of the materials of the house? Or
Oh, you lose some of the backside for the materials of the house. Like, there's, I can say that you don't, but like, it's not transmitting through the wood or through the PVC plastic. So it is directional, but directional-ish. I've got a neighbor that's literally like a block down from me, and we can talk on that antenna, no problem whatsoever. That all being said, I'm pretty sure we could talk with HTs with no antennas still, because we're so close. But
Vince
does go through
is
the
a big
house.
fan. Yeah, Vince is a big fan of using dummy loads for antennas.
Yes.
I've got a couple radios back here that I got dummy loads on that I just use for hotspots and stuff.
Mike's first CW contact was on a dummy load on 6 meters, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Awesome,
the tinfoil hat antenna, the Willet Ham, one of the Willet Ham videos I did on my channel, it's Vince at one point had offered to wear that and find out if it worked, but I didn't want to turn him into a dummy load. So
I don't know. I'm most of the way there now, so it's just a little bit of a push.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, but I think in the end, designing antennas can be, what your motivations are. I went in, and I didn't go in to think I was going to build a business out of this. That just happened to be kind of like a really cool offshoot of it. I went in because I was annoyed I couldn't get out, because I could see different ways to build antennas that other people maybe wouldn't. And I just read up on stuff. So, based off of just a little bit of need, and realistically, you're talking like a roll of the Faraday fabric tape is like $10 maybe, and you're off to the races. At that point, you literally just need wire and a feed point, or even a coaxial cable. Cut the ends off. You take the core, fray it off to one side, take the center, push it off to the other side, and tape it to the Faraday fabric. You've got an antenna. And so, knowing it's that easy, go out and build something. Don't sit there and have people go, well, you can't do that. In fact, one of my favorite stories is I was talking to somebody on my HT on one of the first Faradays, and I was telling him how I was going to make it. I was wording it incorrectly, but I was saying I was going to make an antenna out of Faraday fabric and try that out. And he's like, "Oh, don't bother, it'll never work." And I started to laugh because, well, I'm talking to you on it right now. So I'm not there. There is a lot of wisdom out there, but generally you can identify the. You'll pay attention to me and respect my authority. You guys don't listen to them. In fact, take what they say and do the exact opposite, and you might find some magic in that.
So you bring up a very good point. I think one of the things, and I think part of our founding charter of the kids table is that when you go to holiday, family get-togethers and everything, the adults, they just push the kids off to the side. They don't want to hear the kids, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of, I think, what happens sometimes in amateur radio. We get a lot of people out there that are really opinionated, and they tell newer people how it needs to be. Jeff KS0JD says sad hams, and I'm not going to say necessarily sad hams. It's one of those things that, they've been doing it for a while. Maybe they know it works. Maybe they don't know it works, or at least they think they do. And so they're pretty opinionated in it. But what happens is somebody new, like you, Ben, you come into this, you don't have an electronics background. You're you have ideas and you have a means to express those ideas and to take them to the next step and actually try it. And you don't have preconceived notions, and you don't have somebody telling you, well, no, this is how you need to build the widget. You've got an idea to build that widget. So to push, and that was one of the things that's really frustrated me about our hobby is the fact that sometimes people need to allow others to fail to get better.
Absolutely.
Right? And you never know, out of somebody, what you might think is going to fail might come that diamond in the rough, that next new antenna that nobody has thought of yet.
Well, and here's the thing too, is that you got to look at it in a couple of different ways. On a scientific method point of view, is that any postulation, any hypothesis, or even any found notions they need to rigorously be contested all the time. So if somebody says this can't, time travel is not possible, you need people constantly striving for that, even as ludicrous as that sounds, because maybe it is, and you're not going to know until you get there. And even then it needs to be tested. Did it actually happen? So what happens in the ham industry is that you have, or in ham industry, in the hobby, is that you have people that get locked into, this is what I was told, this is how it works. And that's one thing where a lot of the books, like, you get this or the antenna book, and they'll tell you best case scenario when they threw it into easy neck. But the reality is that how it really transmits in an area with some bushes and a fence nearby? No. So you've got to just go out and try it. And like, knowing that, like, look at things that were invented by accident because somebody just wanted to go and piss around, like the microwave was an accident. Penicillin was an accident. There's so many things that were an accident that turned out to change humanity. Now, I'm not saying I'm changing humanity in any way, shape, or form, but you got to look at, always question authority, always question what is being told to you, because it isn't always the truth. Or maybe there's some nuance in that you can tease out into something fun.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, and great comment here from Nate. We would still be in caveman times if people didn't push limits and challenge common thoughts or norms.
Yeah.
I got an idea or something I want to throw out there to you, Ben. Thinking outside the box. It just kind of, I don't know. I don't think I mentioned this to you.
This box?
Before. No. No. But I wonder, have you ever explored the option of folded skeleton sleeve dipole with the Fairjay materials? Because I built one out of ladder line. I did a video on it. I did it for 6 and 2 meters. Right. And I did 6 and 2 because it would give me a dual band horizontal antenna for local nets that are on 2 and 6 meter sideband. And I wonder if you could apply the same principle of the skeleton sleeve dipole, where you can have that parasitic element and you can get 2 bands with that equal radiation pattern. And if, like I said, if it's, I did it on 2 and 6, I think for the VHF, UHF frequencies, maybe it's a little bit more manageable size wise, but anywho, I'll stop.
So I've got it. So here's one of the downfalls of being successful sort of out of the hoop is that you get so busy in your business that you stop innovating. I'm just flipping through a book. I'm trying to find basically it's they're basically patch antennas. They're like a bow tie, but they're circular and they've got sort of ribs coming off of them. They almost look like a
Trojan?
Like
Nothing.
No, they look like crop circles almost. And the other thing is that you can take the Faraday fabric, and what I've done is that you can throw an adhesive on the back or an iron-on adhesive onto the back, and let's start laser cutting. So now you're getting very, very precise cuts into these antennas. So the one style of antenna that I'm just dying to do, and I need a larger laser cutter to make it. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of it here. But I think that they would work exceptionally well, especially for people in the military. Right now I'm working on a couple military antennas, and the the thing is that in the military, antennas are a pain in the ass because they're big and they're cumbersome and they're a pain in the butt. If you can create something that's super flexible like Faraday fabric and use that as the radiating element, it works really well. But with these sort of patch circle bow tie things, is as long as you put it, like say on your plate carrier or on something that would keep the radiation from going into your body. But there, for 6 meters, you can get something about this big for an iron-on.
Oh wow!
And you can literally just iron that onto the plate carrier, then sew whatever ribbon and stuff you need on top of it. You can still use it as a plate carrier, but you are the antenna at that point. And you're in the military, you try to avoid communications as much as possible, and you're usually transmitting fairly low power. So the exposure limit of these is actually pretty low. That all being said, is that, yeah, I've looked at some of these antennas, and when you start looking at taking the Faraday fabric itself in a bolt or width, you can start doing some really funky shapes out of it and make it so it's like an origami antenna or pop-out antennas. There are all sorts of things I want to do. Slowly but surely, I've got, excuse me, I've got an assistant working for me now part-time, and she's kind of relieving me of having to fulfill orders. Hopefully I'll get back into the creative thing. So long answer is I've looked into stuff like that, not that one specifically. But yeah, I'm definitely wanting to get into that kind of thing. You know, we're talking about antennas that you could just tape onto the side of a building temporarily to use for something, and then peel off, and nobody would know, including an HOA. Or you could claim it's, you know, art because it looks like a crop circle. You know, you start playing with things. It's a lot of fun that way.
So that just made me think. You know those twirly decorative wind things that you know, when they spin around, the way they're cut, they look like they're moving up and down. Yep. Something like that would be a one. And the other one I kind of thought about is when you were talking earlier is have you thought about a Faraday tape mag loop?
Yes, and here's one thing that Vince doesn't know he's helping me on this, but I've got a few people here in town. But we've got a there's a art installation in Calgary. It's called the Loop, and it's this giant, I don't know, I figure 40-foot diameter pipe that's nothing more than a giant loop sitting in the middle of the or sitting not in the middle, but it's on the outside of the city. It's ugly. Everybody hates it. Now I want to turn that into a parasitic mag loop, but I'm thinking I want to have like 180 meter mag loop parasitic. See if we can make that happen.
So if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not knocking, I'm just throwing this out here on the table. From what I read when I was looking into those things, the idea is that you use about a 10th wave loop, about a 10th of a wavelength, to force that into the magnetic field as quickly as possible versus the standard. So I don't know if you do how many feet did you say it was? 40?
It is.
We're talking 40 feet high, and
it cost $471,000.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
It is called the Traveling Light, and it's got to be 80 feet tall. I'm going to paste a link to it here.
James says 630 meter mag loop is what you're rolling.
So yeah, we'll definitely be talking to the aliens. But so, and maybe this is kind of putting the cat out of the bag, but one thing I want to do is that you have islands on the air, you have parks on the air, you have summits on the air. One thing I want to do is CODA, which would be sculptures on the air, is that you go out and try to find metal sculptures somewhere and see if you can activate them.
So we had I cannot think of Jason's call sign off the top of my head. So the Moose Jaw. He lives in Moose Jaw, and apparently they've got a big giant metal moose there that they've have they loaded that thing up yet, Vince?
I don't know.
And made it antenna.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And should find Chris, there's a guy in the comments. He also lives near me, and he says it's also a street light. So because of zoning regulations, they had to throw a street light on the top of it. It looks like a giant Teletubby structure at this point. But what I think is kind of neat is that the city also went to an LED system for all these street lights. So done right, we'll have that thing throbbing when we transmit.
Bill, Ham Radio Tectonic says, but will it antenna?
Yeah. And
We
yeah,
might have to take out our angle grinder and grind some paint off to get conductivity, and bring the right color matching paint along to paint it back up afterwards.
we can do that, but I'm pretty sure we could do it parasitically. I've got a couple theories. I've also gone and scouted the location, and there are some rusty bolts that a wire brush would be able to get good contact with. So
yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
And who was it? Ham Radio 2.0 just recently. He didn't activate a ladder, but he definitely made contacts with an extension ladder. Like
Ham Radio Tube Mike did, yeah.
Yes.
With an extension ladder. And so I look at 25 feet of feed line without a 1-to-1 unun in the middle of it going, okay, was it the ladder or was it the feed line?
Mm.
And he's way down south in the United States where propagation's really easy.
Right.
So I might have to repeat that experiment.
So from a ham radio rookie perspective, and I've heard this a lot of times where people are like, are you sure you're not transmitting on the feed line? That happened with my Farajays right off the get-go. And I showed them that, like, I choked the hell out of the feed line going in. Is that if you show them that you've choked really hard at the end, boy, this sounds awkward, but if you've choked the feed point, does that generally quell that thought, or is that just, I don't know?
Well, yeah, you have to isolate it, right? Through the transformer. So that if I'm getting my terms correct, I've been known to mix these up before, a balun versus an unun.
Mm-hmm.
But if we put a 1-to-1 unun in there, we should be able to electrically isolate it. It's just a magnetic coupling at that point, right? So that should decouple it.
Okay. So then when I think I'm going to have to start using a 1-to-1, even though I know I'm going to like not get that much transmission power, or I'm going to lose a certain amount, but like if I'm not losing any more than 20% of whatever I'm getting out of it, say through Whisper, then I'm going to take that as a win that it's the antenna and not the coaxial cable.
So B. William says it's 17 meters. So I'm trying to ascertain whether that's diameter or circumference, but that might be a 2,200 meter band antenna. And of course, we have privilege. We have privilege on that low band up here, 630 and 2,200. So.
Yeah, those. I'm 2 years into this, and I'm just starting to wet my feet in HF kind of thing. So, like, when you start talking about that stuff, it sounds like the big boy stuff that I have absolutely no concept of.
It's all good. We'll experiment. We'll try it.
Yeah.
What the heck? I like this parasitic idea. We just have to kind of make it small enough that we can walk with it, because I'm pretty sure the city of Calgary is going to take a pretty dim view to Vince parking his truck right beside this thing on the sidewalk or tying up a lane and trying to parasitically couple to it.
I'm definitely not going to talk to you about what my plans are on video, but we have to talk. There are ways around
Yep.
I have
Ham Radio Kids Table and affiliate YouTube channels are not responsible for the content that anything that you make. Take all things at your own risk. So now, interesting when you're talking about that. Are you guys familiar with another famous Canadian YouTuber, Steve Walls? He's the guy that does a lot of this camping,
stealth camping.
And his whole video channel, is about where he'll go out and find this guy will camp in the middle of road intersections.
I know who you're talking about.
Or like in the median between on directions on the interstate and stuff like that. And so maybe there's a collaboration opportunity there where you could do a stealth camping and POTA activate or stealth camping activation, utilizing a monument or a sculpture or something like that.
Well, totally. And all of this is like, this is the other thing too, is like, even one thing I haven't done, I've really been meaning to, is just, I've got a literal giant loop of a rain gutter. It is all connected all the way around the top of my house. And I'm not going to have a loop on the ground. I'm going to have a loop on the house, but I'm curious at how well it would receive. And these are things that just need to, and what would even be better is if I could get
it resonant on anything. Who knows? Maybe it'll be like the ham can, and it'll be resonant on 20 and 40 or something for me, which would be just awesome. Maybe not for anybody living near me with metal fillings, but other than that, it should be good.
So have you most of the antennas I believe that you've done so far have been in the VHF UHF range. Are you doing anything in HF or okay?
Yeah. So there's one of my last videos I did, and this was a while ago. I haven't been on making YouTube videos as much as I should, and I'm getting there. But so I took a squid pole, which is just a carbon fiber rod. I put some Faraday tape along the outside of it, stood it up as an end-fed half wave. I call it the random stick. It works a treat. It's been out in my backyard. It's my main workhorse antenna, and it's basically, imagine having an end-fed wire antenna, but no wire. You just literally put up the squid pole, hook up to the bottom of the squid pole, and I've got like a Faraday carpet, or like I've grounded it out to my fence instead. But if you use some Faraday fabric and you get a magic carpet, you're good to go. And that's what I take camping with me. In fact, here, let's see this.
So a 17 meter. So a 17 meter Faraday then.
Well, here's the fun thing is that, okay, so this here's a 17. This is actually, this one's 32 feet. So I think it's actually getting into the 20 meter. But there's one rod I have back here.
That 32-foot would be a quarter wave on 40.
Right. So there you go. And then I've got this guy who's 40 feet, but it's also got a little spigot on the top that I can screw into. So I can probably add another 15 or 20 feet. So I can get a 50-foot whip out of this. That's adjustable. And you're not having to wire up to anything. So it's these are the things I'm playing with. Yeah.
Mike's wheels are turning right now. Mike's a big fan of the metal whips.
Yeah. And so there's a few things, then you can start looking at DX Commander style. So take 3 carbon fiber whips, and you can create all the elements that you want on it this way. And then I've mentioned this before, is that carbon fiber is conductive. So will a carbon fiber fishing rod resonate on its own? And yes, it will. Will it get out very far? No, because there's so much resistance in the carbon fiber that it will resonate, but most of it's being eaten up by the carbon fiber. As soon as you add the Faraday tape to it, then it's become a lot more conductive, and now you're reducing the actual resistance, which means the radiation resistance goes up, and that's why this works so well. But the problem with that is that I was thinking that you could put, like, say, 3 elements on one pole, just on one extension pole, and be able to have a multi-band wire antenna. But that won't work with carbon fiber because they all basically link together, and whatever the end length of the carbon fiber is what it's going to resonate at. But if you use fiberglass, then it isn't conductive, and you can put multiple elements on it. So if you look at a fiberglass extension pole, like, do I have it here? I don't think I have it here. I think it's at my shop. But now you can put multiple elements on it. And again, like a DX Commander, you can do 40, 20, 17, 10, 12, basically with 3 elements and one pole that you can just extend out.
Oh, awesome. Hey, so my producer's telling me in my ear that we've only got about 9 minutes left. So let's go around the horn and get wrapped up here, because Ham Nation's going to be coming up soon. Ben, thank you very much for coming. Anything coming up on your channel, or anything that you want to promote?
So yeah, on VF Comms just recently, my assistant has convinced me to make it so that we're going to do custom antennas. We started doing some antennas for search and rescue at 150 megahertz and 150, 160. But I've had a lot of people email me saying, hey, we want a custom antenna for said frequency. And I don't make that one as a stock one, but we've worked things out that we can now. So now I have a form on my website that says, if you've got a custom antenna that you want made, if it's going to be the J-pole style, then, let us know. Anything 6 meters and below, so anything from 30 megahertz and below, or above, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But I will take a stab at it and make custom antennas. So that's one thing I think is kind of fun. That's new and coming with my life.
Awesome. Mike, how about you?
I just got to give a shout out to Ben, because I've got the 2 meter and the 6 meter Farajays. He's got the 1.25 meter one on, which is great to see. And I've had a blast with them, and I've done 2 very, very special to me POTA activations with them. I use the 2 meter Farajay for a 2 meter FM POTA I did for World Autism Awareness Week, where I operated as Whiskey 2 Alpha and live stream that. That was a lot of fun and real special to me to do that. And then I use the 6 meter vertical, a 6 meter as a vertical. And I set up a horizontal one when we did a 6 meter FM activity day on 5/25/25, and that was really fun, and that was really neat to be able to switch between a vertical and a horizontal live and hear the difference in polarization when you're working local, when you're not getting the e-skip. So very cool. And like I said, those are 2 meaningful activations. I was very excited to use them for both of those. And
those who haven't watched that 6 meter video should, because like it teaches you a lot. Like I love that video, man. That is awesome. And not because you use my antenna, because there's a lot of knowledge jammed into it.
Yep. Good stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. Vince, how about you? What do you got coming up on your channel?
Well, I just dropped a video of my trials and tribulations of field day and how I managed to break not 1 but 2, count them, 2 carbon fiber masts. And thanks to Mike K at MRD and his insistence that the Gigaparts POTA Explorer mast have spare parts. Thanks to that, I was able to swiftly fix mine up with new parts after I did a repair. The parts arrived after that. So I've got a couple of videos out that just dropped about that. The next one I'm working out on my bench is a corollary to one of my more popular videos. One of my more popular videos is, what does it sound like when you vary the frequency on your VFO when you're transmitting a CW? What does it sound like at the other end? And why do you not zero beat? What are the conditions in which you don't zero beat? So I demonstrate that. Now, the corollary video that I'm just starting to work on, and probably 2 to 3 weeks for release on it, is going to be, what does it sound like on sideband when you do that? Because I made a comment on the podcast that when you're running QRP, well, sometimes you tune so your VFO is a little squeaky, and then you come through the audio passband, and it sounds a little different at the other end, so you can break through pileups with low power. And so I've had a couple of people say to me, well, what does that really mean? Well, good. I've got a demo for you coming up, and I'm gonna show you on a band scope what that looks like, and you're gonna hear some real live audio clips with it. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that's what I got coming up. And you know, the what would you tell your younger self series is still launching a video every 2 or 3 days, and that goes off to the end of August, and people are loving that series. So if you don't know what would you tell your younger self, look for WYTTYS on my YouTube channel, because that's what I've called them.
You
nice
kids and your abbreviations.
I know, right? That's what I got.
Jeff, what do you got going on, buddy?
Not much. I'm finishing up a video. Taking a little time off to get a few things done in real life. Well, everything's real life, but around my life. And yeah, I've been dropping some shorts this week, so I might have 1 or 2 more. We'll see. Dropped one Monday, one today. Still doing the 2,000 subscriber giveaway. Not there yet, but getting close. So
Nice.
Subscribe, win prizes. You got to be there to win prizes. We'll see what happens. What are you doing, Tim?
Well, so I dropped a video tonight on this little guy here, this All-Star URI, and this is a kind of a neat little design, allscan info, allscan.info. But it's an All-Star node, and Freddie Mac had one of these. The one that he had in his video was kind of a purplish color. It's like a UR 141. This is a 145, and what I like about it is it allows me to either power a Raspberry Pi, or because it takes an input power of 9 to 16 volts, and it will pass that through. I can plug this in, and I'm looking for something to mount permanently in the Bronco. Then this is a little bit more ruggedized. It's got a cheaper HT in there, but better than that chip that you would find in a Shari Note or one of the modem boards. I think it's a SA818 radio on a chip. It gives me some flexibility. Allows me to do VHF, UHF. I can change my CT, CTS, whatever tone without having a computer. So when I drive into an area, not knowing the RF landscape, I can make changes on the fly. Has a little bit more power. I can hook it up to a bigger antenna, and I can have all-star communications as long as I've got network communications in the area, and I can still use it as a local repeater too, or at least a simplex node for being out camping and everything. So I like that. Nice thing, like I said, it can either be a Raspberry Pi or it can be one of the 12-volt computers. So I've got one of those that I bought during Prime Day. So I'll be doing videos on how to set that up and build it in both formats for computing devices. So that's gonna be the next couple of weeks, and I think I'm gonna have some fun too. I got a what's the gosh darn it, the HOA Buster from Alpha Antennas. Steve gave me one of these to do some testing, and you were talking about doing gutters all the way around your house. I've got a building with 2 gutters, north and the south. So they run east and west, north and the south. And I want to do some testing. I want to load up one gutter. I want to load up the other gutter, and I want to load up both gutters, and do some whisper testing, stuff like that. Just kind of see how that reacts. So
Cool.
Right on.
Yeah,
A couple kilowatts,
So
you clean out the gutters.
yeah, clean out the gutters. That's right.
Tim, we got 30 seconds remaining, so we've got just enough time
to clean out the gutters, or
to clean out the gutters.
Yeah.
I'd say 73.
all right. Well, sounds good. Everybody, thank you very much. Don't forget, Ham Nation is coming up. Somebody died. I probably got it here. Let's see. No, I don't. I don't know. This is where I still need a producer, but make sure you go check out Josh and the gang. I started to say Waldo, Gordo, Don, and Amanda, and everybody else at Ham Nation, and 73. Everybody.
73.
Good night.